Now let's start looking to the model 1. The Marx did not give the model, neither model 1, model 2 specific names, by the way. These are the names I'm giving to them. So don't look for a specific model 1, but you will be able to see that there are different models described here in capital, if you read capital. And their exchange value is the main focus, so the main values are given through the exchange value. That's why I have given the name, I have mentioned this model focused on the exchange value. So it's, as a result, we will see in this model the value added by the labor power to the model, similar to the case in the Ricardian model. Well, in this model, first the factors of production are divided into two types. First one is labor, the other one is anything else. Anything else includes raw materials, machines, electricity, energy, or infrastructure. Everything is included into all else, basically. Marx calls labor as V, or variable capital, C as constant capital. V variable capital because its value is varying, basically. Constant capital, basically, I mean, well, once it's produced, it is kind of fixed. Its value is fixed. At least, I mean, production process is determining its value, while variable capital, the value of variable capital is more or less determined by the bargaining process between the workers and the companies. We will see in detail, basically. I mean, the more wage the workers require to do the task, the more valuable will be their labor power, because you need more money to buy them. So, in a way, I mean, ideally, capitalists want to decrease the value of the variable capital, I mean, hourly labor of the workers. But so if they manage that, then the variable capital's value will be lower. So, under these conditions, when the capitalists buy inputs of production, they spend money. Well, if exchange value and the prices are equal, which won't be the case, but we might say roughly, they will spend their money equal to the C plus V. At least this is the value of the inputs, even if the capitalists spend less money. Value of the outputs is C plus V plus S. So value of the outputs is more than value of the inputs. And S is the difference between the value of the inputs and value of the outputs. So basically, the difference between the value of everything, I mean, not only wood, but everything, electricity, machinery used per chair, labor, everything, is C plus V, and the value of chair is C plus V plus S. The difference is S. So, in a way, S is equal to this extra money that's come after the capitalists sell their product. So S is the difference between the value of inputs and outputs, and S, in a healthy economy, should be a positive on average. Why? Because basically, capitalists need to continuously get this extra money in return in order to be able to continue the production process. If they don't do that, in that case, they will stop producing. I mean, all production facilities will close and economy will collapse. Well, economy needs to function so that people can get their needs. But in order to have it function, the capitalists need to get this extra money. So, where does this S come from? Marx describes it this way. He says that the source of surplus value is surplus product. They are not the same. They are different, but the source of surplus value is surplus product. What is surplus product? Well, again, in some cases, I mean, I have seen. I mean, it's difficult to define surplus product, but I think it's actually not that difficult, and it's a simple thing to define. First, you need to define necessary product. Necessary product is the products a worker, a typical worker, should get in order to be able to reproduce himself. So a product the worker should get, a working worker, I mean, which means that guy is not sitting in the home, but working at the factory or in a company or somewhere or in the field. So he spends energy. So the product he should get so that he could get the energy back he has spent back, plus he should remain healthy, basically. Plus, of course, the guy will in the end die. So the product should also be enough for the worker to get a healthy worker to replace himself when he dies. So for a family, that means 2 children. You need to replace both father and mother. 2 children that reach to the adulthood, of course. So the product that will just satisfy this is called necessary product. And necessary product, even though there can be some discussions on its limits, I think it's clear that, I mean, certain products are necessities. We need them to survive. And certain products are the products that are not necessities. And from the earliest time on, certain societies were able to produce more than they need to survive, more grain, for example. And that more product was called surplus product. And that concept was very clear for many early societies. I mean, part of the product was surplus. They could store them and they can use them for the catastrophic, I mean, worse years, and they can also use them to buy luxuries. So this surplus product can be used for different reasons. It can be used for the luxuries of the workers, the things that they don't need but they want. They can use to make workers get education, maybe get other skills and become more productive. That's another possibility. Collectively, they might be it might be used to create public goods like parks, for example. Alternatively, it might also be used to provide income to other classes. The people. That means, I mean, class here means group of people who have a different function in the society. So, if certain people function is to work, other people have some other function, which is not to work, something else. And surplus product can be used to provide income to these classes, the people that are part of these classes. So, surplus value is the surplus part of the surplus product taken from the workers during the production process. So it is the part of the surplus product that is creating income to all, well, other classes except the workers. So it is the source of income that income except the wages. So part of surplus product may remain with the workers. Surplus value is the part of the surplus product that is taken away from the workers. And it is, as I said, source of income, all of income except wages. Rent paid for the apartments. It is, well, rent is, the houses are not producing anything. They cannot generate value. So, in a way, rent that is paid should come from the value that is produced by the workers, which means from the surplus value. Profit certainly, which is a primary, I mean, source of income the companies have. And interest rate also. Interest rate paid by the banks to the people or to the banks are also paid through the surplus value, because money by itself is not producing anything. Also, um, money is just giving the buying power to the people, but in the end, actually, the actual value, the actual increase in what we actively can produce is happening in the production process. Well, the financial process is just exchange of the this buying power, and which might or might not, in some cases might not, give this buying power to the people who are more likely to create this additional value, which might increase, which might basically, the people who are likely to produce more useful products, which the financial system might transfer the money to those people, but in some cases it might also prevent those people to have that money, which is a long discussion which should be done under the finance. So now let's see, under the example of again furniture, in this case table, how the model with exchange value works. So let's assume non-labor inputs of the labor is 5 labor hour worked, which means C is 5 labor hour worked. Production of table takes 10 labor hour. Wages are paid to the workers are 5 labor hour. So let's have exam. So 5 is the worth of the non-labor inputs. So C is 5. Wages paid to the workers is 5. So wages are basically show the value of the variable capital, which means the value of variable capital is also 5. Here the unit is labor hour, by the way. And we know that the production takes 10 labor hours. So here is a trick. If production of table takes 10 labor hours, just think Ricardo. That means, and if the inputs before the production are worth 5 labor hour, that means the value of table is 5 plus 10. In 10 labor hours, 10 labor hour worth of value is added to the inputs, which means the value of the table is 15 labor hours. Well, the value of the finished table is 5 plus the C plus V plus S. Since C plus V is 10, which is the value of inputs the capitalists are bought, S is 5. That is the surplus value. So you might think also like this. In the 10-hour long production time, 10 labor hours of value is added to the table. Half of it is taken by the workers, which is 5 labor hour, and half of it, 5 labor hour, is taken by the capitalists as surplus value. This is it, basically, not that difficult. Now we can briefly talk on the model 2. Model 2 focuses on the labor time spent by the worker within the production. So when you produce the table, of course, at first there is physically nothing. Then by using the inputs, you produce one table, second table, third table, fourth table, and first table. Well, when you compare the case before the production and after the production, you might think that the first table, the value of the first value you create. I mean, if you think that you produce 10, you work for 10 labor hours, produce a table that is worth 15 labor hours, and assume this 15 labor hour is actually produced gradually. So at the end of the first hour, you have produced, in that case, 1.5 labor hour, which is not the case. I mean, it might be very well possible. I mean, before you actually finish a table, the table might worth nothing. But let's assume the value is produced gradually.